Everyone. Hey, Cam Adams, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Perfect. Okay. Welcome to the post-game press conference. We're going to be joined first by representatives from the University of South Carolina. We've got first a couple players, Laeticia Amihere and Destanni Henderson. They will be followed up afterwards by Coach Dawn Staley. So we'll go with questions for the student athletes first. Reminder, please use the wave function. If your wave function is not working, type your question in the chat. And from here, I will let Aubrey and Austin from up top lead the moderation.
All right, thanks, Derek. We got a question up here from Tom Savage.
Could you?
For either player, actually, just curious about your thoughts down 5 midway through the second quarter. Didn't look like there was a lot of panic on the bench. Just curious to get your thoughts being down like that.
What was happening on the floor and just execute our plays, and on defense just make sure we get stops. So I don't feel like it was pretty a panic.
Hi, Justin Russ from the Sioux City Journal. This for either one of you. What changed in the third quarter? I mean, from my aspect, it seemed like you girls sped things up, got in transition more. Was that the game plan after halftime, or what did change, if I'm getting that wrong?
Yeah, I think we just need to adjust with everything that's going on. Whatever we see, we just need to adjust. Henny has speed, so we need to utilize that to our advantages. Just pushing in transition is something that our team is really known for, so we just have to go back to our basics and make sure that we're just making easy baskets.
Okay, next we'll go to Greg Hadley.
Hey, Destanni. Just this being a very close game, it was kind of game last year where maybe Ty would, maybe say something in the huddle, settle you guys down. Did you kind of feel the responsibility to be that person today? And if so, what were you saying to your teammates?
Yeah, I feel like we always there for each other, all telling each other the things that we were lacking and the things that we need to improve on within the game. I feel like we all upheld each other accountable to that. I just try to do what's best for the team. Try to just give each other the best advice as possible. So.
Next question comes from Keith.
Hey, Laeticia, so you started off 1 for 8 in the first half coming off the bench, and then you started the second half. It seemed kind of like the game slowed down for you and you got more in rhythm. What was kind of happening in the second half that allowed you to get more in the flow of the game?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think you just need to adjust. I need to go stronger in the paint. I think that in the first half I was going off soft. That's just me being critical of myself. I think I could be a lot stronger in the paint. And once I'm doing that, I'm trying to get contact and finishing through contact. That's really what helped me in the second quarter.
Any final questions for the student athletes? Okay, thank you, girls.
Thank you.
And we bring in now South Carolina coach Dawn Staley. We will open it up once again for questions for Coach.
Coach Tom Savage with the AP. I'll ask you the same question I think I asked your players, but down 5 there in the second quarter. From our vantage point anyway, you didn't look too terribly panicked, and I'm just curious your thought process at that point.
My 21st year of coaching, and an old coach told me that a marathon isn't won in the first mile. And for our players, I have to trust. You got to have a little bit of trust in your players that some of your habits will kick in, some of your good habits will kick in. And they did. I was super proud. Young basketball team, different leadership. And we're going to be tested. We were tested today. We're going to get tested tomorrow. And then that theme is going to continue throughout the entire season. I mean, we could have We could have scheduled differently, but I just think this type of competition is the best teacher of it all.
It's Tom again with the AP. Just curious if anything changed at halftime. I'd be curious to hear what you said at halftime, but anything changed?
No, I mean, nothing changed. I thought South Dakota, played great basketball. I thought we played subpar basketball. I thought we looked completely unorganized at time. I thought we looked rushed, and I knew we have another gear in us. And if that gear kicks in, I thought we did a great job just exploding for a 31-point third quarter that gave us an opportunity to play some other people. We didn't play Victoria in the second half. We played Destanni Henderson for, the third quarter. And we got some other people in the basketball game that allowed us to lean on them. And, we're looking at it as a learning experience for all of our players. We just played a variety of players, and hopefully they'll gain some experience through this and be able to really help us next game or halfway through the season. But at some point, I do think them playing in this environment will help them.
Coach, Bailey Zubke with the Volant. Just kind of question for you would be, what's different about this USD team compared to the team you played last year in South Carolina?
I mean, they're very similar. I thought their freshman point guard did a great job at pushing tempo and driving the ball down our throats, and they just kept pushing. They're not a team that's going to stop. They're going to play for 40 minutes. They're going to give it their all. That's the makeup of who they are. It doesn't matter who they have or who they don't have. They're going to play that way all the time, and that's why it's always that it's great competition. That's why we look forward to playing them last year as well as here in South Dakota.
Next question comes from Greg Hadley.
Hey, Dawn. You talk about trusting your team. Are you resisting the urge to call a timeout in that first half? Or is that just something you want to let them play through it and learn?
I'm not one that, someone goes on a run, I just immediately call a timeout. I've never done that. Just historically speaking from coaching, I like for our players to kind of work through things. We can look back on it and say, if we don't have any timeouts, this is kind of what happens in this situation. And it's learning and growing. Had it got to double digits, I might have thought differently. But I thought our players did not look panicked. They just looked like, okay, they're going on a run. Let's see if we can stop the bleeding.
Take a question. Chris next. Chris, you there? I think you might be muted.
Just to clarify, Coach, Lily not playing in the first half and Victoria not playing in the second half was just about trying different lineups.
That's the coach's decision. Yep. I talked to both of them, so it's not like it came out of it didn't come out of anywhere. I am one that is transparent, and I'll let them know what's happening out there, so they don't have to go back to their hotel room and say, oh, why'd she do that? They know exactly where I stand with things, and they took it well.
We'll take a few more questions for Coach. This next question comes from Cam Adams.
Hey, Coach. Henderson Cook just had a fantastic game today. Can you just kind of describe what was clicking for them?
Who?
Henderson and Cook.
Henderson and Cook. Okay. When our post players weren't playing as efficiently as they normally do, something else has to kick in. I think the beauty of our team is we got a roster full of talented players, and they got a good feel for the game and each other. So I'm sure that Zaya and Destanni looked at what the production of our post players, and she saw that they weren't actually in flow. So they took shots. They were aggressive. That is exactly how we want them to play it doesn't matter if our post players aren't as efficient as they used to be. If we can get everybody being a threat out there on the floor, I think we'll be a pretty good team to be reckoned with.
Next question, Keith.
Hey, Coach, what did you like that you saw with the combination of LA and Aaliyah playing together in the second half? And then also talk about Anaya Russell. It looked like she kind of came in and gave you guys some solid minutes again.
The LA Aaliyah combination is one that, I mean, we pretty much rotate, have a 3 post player rotation, and then Alyssa, who sometimes has to play on the scout team, doesn't always get the reps that we want her to get. So we usually go with a 3 post player rotation, and they've logged a lot of minutes together in practice. So I mean, it's great. You got a stretch 4, you got an athletic 4, you got a dominant 5. You're gonna have to give up something, and I just thought, the second half is when they really turned it up. They got rebounds, they pushed it, they made some layups. So looking forward to that. But they all have a good rapport with one another, including Alyssa. She got in some minutes in the, I think the second quarter, and then the fourth quarter. So we're gaining experience from all of our post players. And then Anaya Russell, we're slowly bringing her along. I mean, she's a very talented guard, and we just don't want to. We only want to put her in positions where if she can gain confidence from playing experience. Because as a freshman, one bad possession, your confidence can be shot, and we just don't want that to happen for her. So we got good film to show her. And then your second question was that your second question, Keith?
Yep. It was.
All right, our final question, Greg Hadley.
Hey, Dawn, you talked about the efficiency of the posts, and I don't have the exact numbers, but it seemed like the layups were an issue in the first half. What do you take away from that? What can you, teach to them going forward to kind of get that corrected?
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing Coach Boyer was saying on the bench. And then at halftime, we need to get them more touches. I'm like, they're 4 for 16 from in the paint. I mean, unless we're going to push their elbows up and have them follow through in the game, I don't know what more we can do for them. They just have to really focus and finish and make the adjustments. I thought that, their space was crowded and they got smothered. So they have to make the adjustment to being in that position. And they knew it was coming. They knew it was coming, but somehow when you're just in that moment, you have to endure it and be able to pivot and literally pivot and work around them.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Coach. We'll let you go. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, thank you.
Next, we're going to bring in representatives from the University of South Dakota. Looks like we have head coach Dawn Plitzuweit. She'll be here momentarily. Once again, reminder, please identify yourselves and your organization. An additional note, after we are wrapped up here, this entire press conference will be available on the Sanford Pentagon YouTube channel. Your call. Okay, we'll just open it up right away for questions for Coach Plitzuweit. Oh, yep.
Oh, yeah, switch it over.
Hold on one second.
Come on, Terry.
Hey, I'm not the tech guy.
I see that, obviously. Okay, thank you, Paul. Oh, good job. Thank you.
All right, we got a couple questions up here.
Hi, Coach. Justin Russ from the Sioux City Journal. What kind of changed that third quarter? What it looked like they were able to transition a lot more. What what kind of happened with that, and let me know if I'm seeing it wrong. So.
Well, I agree. I thought we played really well 3 out of 4 quarters. I thought we really competed 3 out of 4 quarters. And in the third quarter, South Carolina really imposed their will on us. And I don't know, it wasn't a whole lot that went our way. We didn't do a very good job in transition defense. We didn't do a good job keeping them off the glass. They got to the free throw line. We were following them. Basically, anything that could have gone in the wrong direction for us at that point in time went the wrong way. Why am I looking at the speakers like I'm talking there? I don't really know what's going on. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so let's make an adjustment. So you're right. You're exactly right. I'll look in the right spot. Yes, the third quarter was really, really tough for us. But to our players' credit, I thought that they came back and they really competed in the fourth quarter and found a way to at least, get themselves within striking distance again. So that was important to see for us moving forward.
I have no idea what I'm doing it now either. Don't worry, Coach.
I'm looking at you like you're really there. I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Looks like the third quarter all over again. Sorry.
You mentioned that fourth quarter, and with missing Monica, there's a lot of new players in there. That third quarter could really, really hurt. But it seemed like they all bounced back. And I know there's no moral victories, but what did you kind of see out of that fourth quarter? To see someone like Liv bounce back, see someone like Maddie Krall bounce back in her first games, and what did you see out of this crew? Because a lot of them haven't seen that much playing time yet.
No, they haven't. And what was really good to see kind of across the board was that I thought Hannah Shervin played more minutes than I think Hannah Shervin's ever played for us. Played 32 minutes, had, 15 points, 12 boards, something along that. I thought she played really, really well. Fought through and really competed for us. Liv Korngable, who hasn't played a ton of minutes for us, had 8 assists. She played really well and played very well defensively and played in foul trouble. So all of those are really good for us. Chloe took a pretty hard hit early in that game, but I thought Chloe really competed. Chloe's a great leader for us. Maddie Krall, you mentioned. Maddie is a young lady who in her first collegiate start as a freshman has the opportunity to play against the number 1 team in the country. I thought she played really well, 6 of 9 from the floor. Janiyah in her first collegiate start got in foul trouble, and it's always hard as a player to play really, really hard. And her ability to be super aggressive wasn't quite the same as it normally is, because you're wondering if you got to not foul, and that makes it really, really hard. But you have 2 other freshmen that come off the bench who again are in the same position as Maddie and Morgan and Kaya, and I thought they played really well. I think it's I don't think that our kids back down. Claudia played more minutes than in a close game and playing important minutes for us. Allison Popolski redshirts last year, plays some important minutes for us and battled and rebounded. But the bottom line is this is one game. And it's an important game for us, but it's a game for us to go back and watch some film of us other than in practice or last year and say, okay, this is what we have to get better at. What I told our players, I thought they were very, very coachable. I thought they competed their tails off. We were not prepared for that third quarter, and that's on me. I didn't do a good job getting us ready for that. But we'll learn from that, and we'll get better. And the thing that's really going to help us with that is playing more games. And we're thankful we have another opportunity to play, hopefully.
All right, we're going to take a few more
Asterisk.
questions from up here at the Pentagon Media Room, and then we'll go to you, media members waiting in Zoom.
Bailey Zupke with the Volant. First question for you would be just how can you expand upon how you felt your freshman played, especially Maddie, with her first start, just going up against, the number 1 team in the country?
Well, I thought Maddie played fearless. She starts the game and she scores her first 2 points. She was like, well, okay, I'm just going to go attack. I'm just going to play basketball. So that was really, really good to see. It took a 3 in transition that I was like, that's not, we took 16 arc shots in the game. One of them was forced at the end of the game because we wanted to get a shot up. And the one that Maddie pulled in transition, which I'm thinking the other one she shot was a really, really good shot in transition. One was not really a great shot, but I'm thinking to myself at that point in time, do I really want her to not be aggressive? We want to be the aggressors in every game that we played. And so she was super aggressive. I thought she played really, really hard. Again, are we in game shape? I don't know that we are at this point in time, but usually you use your scrimmages or exhibition games to get to that point in time, or your practice guys. We don't have those. We don't have them this year. We don't have that situation. So we've got to do the best that we can. And the good news is our kids battled back and found a way to compete in the fourth quarter. But I thought Maddie played really well for a young kid, for a freshman in her first collegiate start. That was really exciting.
Just to follow up question. Can you expand upon Abel's performance? I mean, all around, it wasn't just scoring. She also rebounded and passed the ball extremely well.
She did, and I think she got in some foul trouble trying to box out and keep South Carolina off the glass, and it's tough because if you turn and box them out, they're by you. If you don't box them out, they're by you. If you try to keep them off the glass and not turn and find the basketball, you're probably going to get called for a foul. And so, I mean, it's just that's a really, really, really difficult situation. But I thought she played really hard defensively. I thought she made some really good plays. She didn't play to not foul at the end of the game. She had 4 fouls and she made a great play on the ball side, came over to help, walled up, made kid take a tough shot, boxed out. So I thought Liv played really, really hard. I thought she played really well. She made some tough shots against a shot blocking team, the best shot blocking team in the country. So I'm really excited. She deserves an opportunity to play to this level because she's practiced so hard for so many years. So it's great to see that pay off.
Next question comes from Brian.
Brian Hedge, Argus leader. Hi, Dawn. You talked about playing aggressively and sort of fearlessly. Was that sort of the mentality offensively overall in the first half to just attack them inside and establish that presence?
It is, and I'm not sure that that's completely smart in some ways because, you're playing against a team that wants to race up and down the court. And we're saying, well, we're going to go with you. But they're faster than we are, and they're longer than we are. And that may not have been the best strategy, but at the same time, the mentality for us is that's how we want to play. And so at times we got some transition opportunities, but those didn't happen for us all the time. So yes, it was our message, our mentality. We wanted to attack.
You mentioned girls need to be flexible with the injuries that you're dealing with. With Monica being out today, how did that force different players into different roles with respect to today?
Well, it's going to force different players. Obviously, we graduated 3 of our top 6 players, and with Monica being out, that's now 4 of our top 6 players who are not returning at this point in time from last year's team. So a lot of players have to step up, and I know we've talked about a number of them. And I think one of the kids that we talked about early was Hannah. Hannah has to play more minutes. She has to play really smart. And I thought she did that. She played really hard defensively without fouling, blocked some shots, made a lot of things happen for us on the offensive end, didn't force it on the offensive end. So a lot of good things, certainly from her. I talked about Liv. Chloe's someone who has been playing a lot of minutes. So Chloe's used to having to carry the load for us a great deal. So, I think those 3 kids really led the way for us in a lot of different areas.
One other question for you. Do you have an update on Monica and what her status is moving forward or what she's dealing with?
Yeah, Monica has a knee injury, so she's going to be out for a while.
All right, we'll take a couple more questions. Keith, you're up.
Hey, Coach. Last night when we talked to you, you were kind of concerned about fast break points and transition and then rebounding. But it's tied at halftime, and rebounding was 27-25. And then offensively for you for the game, you had 50 points in the paint. And there weren't many teams that are going to get 50 points in the paint on South Carolina. What do you attribute just the aggressive nature of your team taking them off the dribble? And was that something that you saw maybe even from the game from last year?
Well, certainly being able to score any points against South Carolina is very, very challenging. Our style offensively is a little bit different than some teams. We space the floor and we try to spread you out, and then we try to screen and curl or back cut. We didn't set many flex screens, back screens to get those kind of opportunities in the lane. But while that's happening, it also shifts, help, and then maybe we can drive to the basket. So I think what we do is different, and I think that makes it hard for some teams that don't face that type of emotion offense very often. So that's probably to our advantage. At the same time, we don't face teams like them very often. We don't face teams that have the ability to really get up and down the court the way they do or get to the offensive glass the way they do. So we're both in a situation where playing against a completely different style is good for us to see and get better at.
Any more questions for Coach? All right,
Raise your hand in the chat room. Come on now.
I think we're good.
Okay, thank you.